You don't belong here. That was the sentence waiting for me at the end of that Christmas night. I didn't know it yet. I just knew it was coming. You can feel those things, even before they land. My name is Marilyn Havers. The text came that morning. One line. No heart. No follow-up. If you want, you can stop by. That was it. No time. No address. Even though I've known where my son lives for years. No, we'd like to see you. Just permission. Like I was asking to borrow something that already used to be mine. I stared at the phone longer than I should have. Honestly, I almost didn't go. I stood in the kitchen, coat half on, half off, wondering how dumb I'd look sitting there alone, pretending I'd chosen peace. I've told myself that lie before. So I went, alone. No call ahead, no announcement. I brought a small gift. Cookies I baked myself and a scarf I'd already second-guessed twice. Neutral color, safe, quiet enough not to be noticed. That's the thinking you learn over years. The house looked perfect, light straight, wreath centered, like one of those photos people post to prove something. The porch smelled faintly like pine cleaner. That stuck with me. My son opened the door. He nodded, stepped back, didn't hug me, didn't smile either, just cleared space so I could pass, like letting a stranger through. Inside, voices kept going. Plates clinked. Nobody stopped. I held the gift and felt how invisible I'd grown. And that's when my son pushed his chair back. You ever notice how a room shifts before someone speaks? I noticed. I just didn't move. We hadn't even passed the bread yet. Plates were still clean. Someone reached for a glass. I remember the soft scrape of a chair leg, slow and deliberate, like it had been practiced. My son stood. He didn't look angry. That part mattered. No red face, no shaking hands. Just calm, controlled. The way people get when they've already decided something and are waiting for everyone else to catch up. He kept his voice even, almost polite. Mom, he started, then stopped, cleared his throat. This isn't a good idea. No one spoke. My daughter-in-law froze with her hand on a serving spoon. She didn't turn around. My son finally looked at me, not fully. More like at my shoulder. We're trying to keep things peaceful tonight, he went on. No drama, no scenes. I nodded once, out of habit. I hate that about myself. He shifted his weight, crossed his arms. That was new. You don't belong here, he said, clear, careful. Like he was reading a rule out loud. The word belong hit harder than I thought. It always does. Final. When it comes from your child. This isn't about punishment, he added quickly. It's just boundaries. We've talked about this. We hadn't, not really. But I let that pass. You make things uncomfortable. He went on. People tighten up. Tonight is about family. That one stung. I swear it did. I was sitting right there, still breathing. Someone coughed. Someone else reached for the salt like nothing was happening. My son looked down at his plate then, studied it, like the answer might be written there. I watched his jaw tighten. I saw the moment he chose not to look back at me, and that's when I knew he was serious. My daughter-in-law finally turned around. She smiled first. Small, controlled, the kind you use when you're about to correct someone in public. She stepped closer, just enough that my son could pretend he didn't hear what came next. You're just a reminder of all the things you got wrong, she said, almost casual, not loud, not sharp, clean, like she was checking a label. I felt the heat rise in my neck. I didn't move. I kept my hands folded on my lap because I knew if I touched anything, it would show. She leaned a little closer. Her perfume was sweet. Too sweet. Like it was trying to cover something. Watch, she added. This is what failure looks like. My son stared at the table. He didn't flinch. That told me more than anything else. I looked around. No one interrupted. No one pretended not to hear. Someone laughed softly at something on the television. The room kept breathing. I realized this wasn't a slip, not a flash of cruelty. It was rehearsed, planned. Maybe not word for word, but the meaning, yes. The message had been rehearsed. She straightened up, picked up the serving spoon, and asked if anyone wanted more potatoes. Her voice went bright again. Easy, like the last 10 seconds hadn't happened. I stayed still. I felt stupid for expecting anything else. Honestly, I should have known. People don't whisper things like that unless they're sure the ground will hold. I caught my reflection in the dark screen of the television. Older, smaller, still there. I wondered, briefly, if this was the part where I was supposed to apologize. No one stepped in. That was the loudest part, the quiet permission. Forks kept moving. Plates scraped. The television laughed at something canned and cheerful. Someone reached across me for the butter like I was furniture. My son kept his eyes on his food. He cut a piece of meat too carefully. Then another. He chewed slow, jaw tight. Like this was something he just had to get through. This is getting cold, my daughter-in-law muttered, more to the table than to anyone in particular. No one answered her, but no one disagreed either. I looked down and noticed my place setting. Flat napkin. No extra chair pulled in. No glass near my hand. It wasn't unfinished. It was deliberate. They'd planned the space without me. Then let me fill it anyway. Someone asked if the gravy was too thick. Another voice answered, "It's fine, normal, almost warm." I shifted in my seat. The chair creaked. That sound felt too big. I sat still again. My son cleared his throat like he might speak. He didn't. He reached for the salt instead. His hand brushed past mine and kept going. "Can we just eat, my daughter-in-law?" Said lightly. "Let's not make this a thing." A thing. That was exactly my role now. I nodded once. Again, muscle memory. I took a breath through my nose. The food smelled rich and heavy. It turned my stomach. I understood then. This wasn't about words anymore. It was about time. How long they'd expect me to stay quiet. How long I'd let myself sit where I'd never belonged. I pushed my chair back just enough for them to hear it. I stood before anyone could stop me. The chair scraped back. Sharp and final. That got their attention. My daughter-in-law looked up first, eyebrows lifting like she hadn't expected movement yet. My son froze with his fork halfway to his mouth. I didn't rush. I didn't apologize either. I picked up my coat from the back of the chair and folded it once over my arm. My hands were steady. That surprised me. "Mom," my son started. He didn't finish. I looked at him then. Really looked. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He stared past me, toward the hallway. Like this would be easier if I disappeared without him having to witness it. I gave him one sentence. Just one. I chose it carefully. "I'll remember tonight." My voice came out even, not loud, not soft, no crack. I wasn't giving them that. My daughter-in-law let out a small breath, almost a laugh. She glanced at the table like this was over now. Handled. No one asked me to stay. No one followed when I walked toward the door. I heard my son shift in his seat, then settle again. Plates moved. Someone poured more wine. The door felt heavier than it had any right to. The hinge groaned. That sound stuck. That sound stuck with me. I stepped outside and pulled it shut behind me. It closed slow. No slam. Just a quiet click. Like sealing an envelope. I stood there for a second with my hand still on the knob. I waited to hear footsteps, a voice, anything. Nothing came, so I let go. I walked to my car without looking back. The cold air hit my face hard enough to sting. I welcomed it. It felt honest. I sat behind the wheel and didn't start the engine right away. My chest felt tight, but dry. No tears. Not yet. I told myself I'd cry later. Somewhere private. Somewhere I wasn't being watched. I drove off knowing this wasn't finished. Not even close. I sat in the car with the engine off. The radio clock blinked 12-something, then reset itself like it gave up. The seat smelled faintly like old coffee. That was grounding. I needed that. I told myself to let it go. Honestly, I rehearsed it. They're busy. They're stressed. It's one night. I've used those lines for years. They fit most situations if you don't look too close. My phone buzzed. A group photo popped up. Everyone smiling. Glasses raised. I didn't open it. I turned the screen face down and slid it into the cup holder like it might bite. I leaned my head back and closed my eyes. I almost laughed. This was familiar. Me smoothing the edges so nobody else had to. Then something old drifted up. Not a feeling. A picture. My son at the kitchen table years ago. Papers spread out. He'd been nervous then, hands shaking. He kept saying it was temporary, just to help. Just until things settled. Mom, it's nothing. He'd told me, I just need your name on it. I remembered the pen, blue ink, cheap. The paper smelled like toner. I hadn't read much. I trusted the way he said Mom. I trusted the way he looked relieved when I signed. Stupid. Maybe. Or just tired of fighting. I opened my eyes and stared at the dashboard. The quiet felt thick now. I thought about that signature. How my name still meant something even if I pretended it didn't. You ever notice how the past waits for the right night to come back? I swear it does. I reached into the glove box and found an old envelope I'd shoved in there months ago. I hadn't opened it then. I told myself I would. Later, I held the envelope in my lap, didn't open it, hands steady again. That counted. I turned the key and started the car. The engine caught. So did something else. I spread the papers across the small desk like they might rearrange themselves into something kinder. They didn't. The words stayed where they were, dense. Careful. Written by people who never planned to explain them out loud. I read slower this time. Line by line. No skimming. No trusting the tone. Authority. That word came up more than once. Not temporary. Not for convenience. Authority. Transferred. Assigned. Ongoing. I felt my stomach drop. Not all at once, but in pieces. Like realizing you missed a step on the stairs, but you're already falling. My name was there. Everywhere. Typed clean. Initialed in places I didn't remember initialing. My signature at the bottom looked confident. It wasn't. I remembered how rushed that day had been, how tired, how relieved he'd looked when I didn't argue. I flipped the page. Then another. The obligations hadn't gone anywhere. They'd followed my name quietly. Loans, guarantees, responsibilities that didn't expire just because I stopped asking questions. I pressed my fingers flat against the desk. The wood felt rough under my skin. That helped. This is on me. I muttered to the empty room. I needed to hear it out loud. I trusted him. I didn't read closely. I wanted it to be easy. I wanted him to stop looking scared. I remembered his voice back then. Soft, careful, just until things settle. He'd promised to handle everything. He'd promised I wouldn't have to worry. He hadn't lied exactly. He'd just learned where to place the weight. I kept reading. My chest felt tight now, but clear. This wasn't confusion anymore. This was shape, structure, the kind you can push against. I thought about the way he'd avoided my eyes at the table, about how comfortable he'd been telling me I didn't belong. That confidence didn't come from nowhere. Trust hadn't vanished. It had shifted, quietly. I gathered the papers into a neat stack, tapped the edges against the desk until they lined up. That felt important. I wasn't shaking anymore. I slid the folder back into the envelope and wrote one word across the front in thick ink. Mine, full stop. I made the calls the next morning. Not dramatic ones. The boring kind. Hold music. Names spelled twice. At the bank, a woman with a calm voice pulled up my file. She didn't rush me. That told me more than her words. Your guarantee is still active. She told me, it's substantial. I asked what would happen if it wasn't. There was a pause. Papers moving. Keys tapping. The renewal wouldn't clear. She answered, not without replacement security. I pictured my son's face when he talked about expansion last summer. Bigger holiday weekends, more staff. He'd sounded proud. Tired, too. And the timing I asked. The lender reviews after the season. She replied, revenue matters, especially Christmas. I thanked her and hung up. My hand felt warm from the phone. That was the one sensory thing I noticed. Enough. I called an attorney next. A local one. Older voice. No sales pitch. He listened. Didn't interrupt. When I finished, he let the silence sit between us. You transferred authority, he said, but not ownership. And guarantees can be withdrawn with notice. I asked how long. Depends on how fast you want the room to go quiet. He replied. That made me smile. Just a little. I didn't call my son. I didn't text. I didn't hint. Silence was cleaner than confrontation. Power doesn't shout. It waits. Later that afternoon, he called me. That surprised me. Hey, he started. Casual. Everything okay? I kept my voice even. Fine. He filled the space. Just checking. You left pretty abruptly last night. I left. I answered. Nothing else. He cleared his throat. We're busy right now. End of year stuff. We'll talk after the holidays. There it was. After Christmas. When the numbers mattered. When he needed the picture to stay perfect. That works. I told him. He paused. I could hear him recalculating. Good, he said. Good. I ended the call first. That was new. I sat with the papers again. I didn't touch them. I just looked. The dates. The clauses. The parts where my name did the heavy lifting. I thought about warning him. About giving him time to prepare. That would have been the old me, the one who softened corners so nobody else had to. I chose not to. I wrote one email to the attorney. Short, clear, no emotion. I asked him to draft the notice and hold it. I closed my laptop and stood up. My hands were steady. My breathing was normal. I didn't feel angry. I felt exact, controlled, and I stayed quiet. I went back on a Saturday, mid-afternoon, the kind of day they liked for photos. The place was busy. Cars lined up, kids running. My son stood near the entrance, smiling too hard, shaking hands like he was counting them. He saw me, and the smile stuck halfway. I waited, let him finish. That felt important. When he reached me, he kept his voice light. You shouldn't be here. I bought a ticket. I replied, calm, polite. I handed it over like proof. He glanced around. His wife stood a few steps back, phone in hand, already recording something for later. She stopped when she noticed the envelope under my arm. We can talk another time, he muttered. This isn't, it is. I cut in, not loud, just final. It is exactly the right time. I held out the envelope, thick, official, his name printed clean across the front. He didn't take it at first. He looked at my face instead, like he was searching for the old tells, the softening, the apology that usually came first. They didn't. Open it. I told him. He did. Right there. Fingers clumsy. Paper slid out. He read the first line and his jaw tightened. Then the second. Then he stopped breathing the way people do when something drops through them. His wife stepped closer. What is that? Her voice went thin. He didn't answer. He turned the page. I watched his shoulders sink. Just a fraction. This can't be right, he muttered. You wouldn't, I answered, and I did. He scanned the notice again. Withdrawal of guarantee. Effective date. No threats, no drama, just facts. You're doing this now, he whispered. During the season, I nodded once. You told me Christmas mattered. He swallowed, looked around. A couple walked past us, laughing. Someone asked where the restrooms were. Life kept moving. His wife went still. Completely! Her phone lowered at her side. She didn't speak. That silence was louder than anything she'd thrown at me before. We can fix this. He tried. We can talk. You don't have to. I don't have to anything, I replied. I chose. He took a step closer, lowered his voice. You're going to ruin everything. I held his gaze. No, I'm stepping out of what you built on me. He looked like he might raise his voice. He didn't. He glanced at the notice again, like it might change if he stared long enough. People like him don't fear yelling. They fear silent consequences. I turned to leave. No scene, no backward glance. As I walked away, I felt it. Not triumph, not revenge. Control. The kind that doesn't need an audience. And behind me, for the first time, he didn't know what came next. He called 3 days later, early, careful. I want to apologize, he began. Slow, measured. Things got handled badly. I let the silence do some work. I didn't mean for it to go that far, he added. You know how pressure gets. We were trying to protect the family. I heard you, I replied. I heard you clearly. He exhaled. We can fix this. You can come back. Stay a while. We'll reset. No. I said, one word, clean. You don't even want to try, he asked. His voice shifted, less sure now. I'm not asking for my seat back, I told him. I'm choosing where I stand. His wife came on the line then, softer than before. We just want things normal again. Normal didn't include me, I said, so I changed the terms. They offered compromises. Short visits, clear rules. I declined all of it. I wasn't moving in. I wasn't smoothing things over. I kept the boundary and the quiet that came with it. Before we hung up, I said something I'd practiced. Here's the lesson I'm keeping. Love that demands silence isn't love. It's leverage. I won't trade dignity for access again. I ended the call first. Again, if this story meant something to you, tap like. Subscribe if you want more of the quiet truths people don't say out loud. Drop a comment about the boundary you're learning to keep. I put the phone down and didn't wait for it to ring back. We're not reconciled. We're not enemies either. I'm fine with that.